Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to have these guys with me. Rūdolfs Macts on the piano, and Andris Buiķis on drums. I picked up the saxophone when I was around 8 years old. And it wasn't even as much that I picked it up. It was something for my parents to get me off the streets, I imagine. Once my mom asked me, all right, you know you're going to go to a music school? Only thing you can choose is what instrument you're going to play. So we had this CD in our CD collection, which was called something like Sax After Midnight. So I guess decision was made purely out of that. So yeah, I went to the music school and I was slightly disappointed because all I got was basically Bach and Mozart. But I sort of had this vision of this amazing music school where they teach everybody how to sax after midnight. So I had to do it myself. So that was sort of my first musical attempt to improvise. I had this like image in mind, this midnight and this kind of saxophone, and I sort of like tried to imitate that vibe. Thinking about it, it was something like taking a tune, bending every note to this tune, playing everything with a huge vibrato. That was jazz, and that was improvisation for me at the time. In my mid-teens, I heard this amazing recording, and it was like soulful, it was groovy, it was really powerful, it was something that really made me dance. It was James Brown, perhaps you know it. Yeah, and at that moment I decided, all right, this is gonna be it, I wanna be part of it. And big part of this whole funk thing was as well playing solos. So I started trying to do something on my instrument, and that was really hard. It wasn't only hard, it was as well frustrating, because at that age I was already sort of playing quite difficult, complicated classical music, and I couldn't do nothing. I sort of had this feeling that I have to create something from nothing. Soon enough, I got a teacher, and I learned all this knowledge about harmony, theory, chords, sort of how to structurize my ideas, etc., etc. It was really useful to get to know this new language that I wanted to learn, jazz language. But after a certain amount of time, I realized that that wasn't really what I was thinking about when I was thinking about improvisation. It didn't just really feel that spontaneous and open and fluent that I could call it a real improvisation. So I decided to move abroad. I decided to move to a place where they speak this new language that I wanted to learn, jazz, that I spoke it in a more fluent way. I did that. I got in a conservatory, and I got this more elaborate knowledge about chords, melodies, structures, etc., etc. I had the pleasure to study with some really amazing teachers, and then I got some more knowledge about octatonics, pentatonics, hexatonics, chromatic approach notes, something you'll probably forget immediately. But it was fun for a while to study all this new knowledge I got. But at a certain moment, I felt again that this is like faking improvisation. I had these tools, I could put them together, I could kind of play. It was, you could call it a solo or improvisation, but it just didn't feel right. It wasn't open enough, it wasn't creative enough, so I could call it an improvisation. At that time, I had an honor to play with some really amazing musicians, and they all had something in common. They all had this all-conventional knowledge about jazz music, and they really could play their instruments really, really well. But when they played, it almost felt that they can change the air in a room. There was something really, really magical about it. So after being around these guys, and after sharing stages all over the world with them, I realized that really improvising and really creating is not about playing right scales. It's not about playing right chords, and it's not about playing the right rhythmical patterns. It's more about the way. It's more about the state of mind you are in when you perform. And not only when you perform, that's the state of mind, how you live your life. And I realized that real key to creativity and improvisation is just being in a moment, just to be really here and now. And it's really hard, because we have all these thoughts coming up like about future and the past, but to really be here, that was really my aim. And that really seems the state of mind you want to be in when you really want to create. I had to get rid of my ego as well. Ego is the one that wants you to stay in your own little world. Ego is the one that asks you questions. If it's going to be good enough, if I'm going to fail. Ego is the one that cares about other people's thoughts. So yeah, you break the flow. I had to get rid of expectations as well. I had to sort of be like an empty cup that is ready to be filled with whatever there is to be filled with. And not empty because of ignorance, but empty of knowledge. When I realized these things, I really understood that at that moment there is no right and there is no wrong. There are no mistakes. Only thing there is left is to create. And now we're going to play a tune. It is going to be completely free and improvised. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be good or not. Only thing we can hope for that it's going to be true and meaningful. Thank you.